Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we're going to be learning how to never get KO'd in the first round. Yeah, none of us want to get KO'd ever, so maybe that's a slightly different video for the future, but right now in particular, how to avoid that KO in the first 2 or 3 minutes, depending on amateur or professional. This is something which I've managed to do my whole career. So before the introduction, I said, okay, I've never been KO'd in the first round in my whole career. Never been KO'd in my whole career. So I guess that goes without saying, it hasn't happened in the first round. Robin van Roosmalen technically scored a 4th round TKO over me. That's because after the 4th round, in between round 4 and 5, my brother and I went, do you think you can KO him? Do you think you can win this fight via knockout? I went, no, and we decided to pull the plug and fight another day. But KO-wise, actually being out cold, never happened to me. So keep that in mind, but still I want you guys to leave today understanding how I keep myself safe. I can only think of one fight in my whole career where in the first round I took a big shot. Other than that, I stay very safe. And everything I'm gonna share with you today is basically exactly what I do to make sure in that first round, I come out and I get to go back to my corner and start making adjustments for round 2. The first thing that we are talking about is mindset. Do not go into the first round thinking that you are gonna score a KO in round 1. If you envision that first round knockout, a couple things are gonna happen. Number 1, you don't wanna go to round 2 because for some reason you're worried about the fight going further and further on. So you get that need, that frantic sort of energy that I have to KO him. Once you start doing that, you put your pressure on yourself, or that pressure that I have to engage, and you expose yourself that much more. Mindset is so much of fighting. And if you limit yourself to, okay, I have to get this done in round 1, you're gonna start making mistakes, because you're just so scared of round 2, 3, 4, 5 if you're doing championship fights. So set yourself up that, you know, I'm fighting a full fight, or if I'm gonna get a KO, it's gonna come late in the fight. And then that first round, you can go in there, you can win by decision or win on points that first round, and then move on to round 2 without that mindset that I have to get this done right now. That's when mistakes happen. Point number 2, remember, skill level is less relevant in round 1. What do I mean by that? Well, let's say we have skill levels on a scale of 100. If I am a 95 and my opponent is a 70 and I can really outskill them, it's not going to come into play until later in the fight when I've had a chance to make assessments on this guy and make adjustments. In that first 10-15 seconds, if we both come out swinging, our skill levels are probably quite even. And you need to keep that in mind, because the longer you let the fight go, the more it's going to start swaying in your direction, assuming your cardio is also good along with your higher skill level. If you remember that, I truly believe if you are the more skilled fighter, it'll serve you well and it'll keep you from making mistakes in round 1, when you know that the further the fight goes on, round 2, 3, 4, 5, it's more in your advantage. So you go, okay, round 1, I don't need to go in there and go crazy because the rest of the fight is gonna be mine. The next thing, which I never ever do, I would never advise anybody to do, is don't force techniques within the first 30 seconds. If you run out and you're like, okay, I've gotta throw some big shots, again, you're forcing things. That's super dangerous. You don't want to do that. Use the first 30 seconds to throw some combinations, sure, but be really tucked in behind that defense. Make sure you're not throwing techniques which are leaving you exposed, and you're definitely not trying to get that KO and trying to put full power into every shot, because when you do that, again, you compromise yourself. Once you get out of the first 30 seconds, then in my opinion, yes, you can start making some adjustments. You'll start reading this guy a little bit better, and it's a little bit safer to start throwing with more power. But in that first 30 seconds, be very, very cautious. And the next thing which you should be doing very early in the fight, within that first 30 seconds, but also in the first round, is gauging your opponent's speed and power. If you don't do this and you don't understand how fast they can throw or how hard they can hit, it's going to be that much easier for you to make a mistake and get knocked out. You want to collect that data very early on so you can go, ooh, this guy's incredibly fast, or he's really slow, or ooh, this guy doesn't hit very hard, I don't have to worry about him, or ooh, this guy hits harder than anybody I've ever fought. Once you know that information, once you've collected it, then in the first round, you can start making adjustments. But if you don't understand that, yes, you're gonna be that much more likely to get KO'd in round one. The next thing which you should be doing is respect your opponent until you have a reason to do otherwise. So if you come out thinking, this guy, nah, he has no chance. He has no chance whatsoever. Then there's a good chance, in my opinion, you're gonna get KO'd. Respect them. Respect the heck out of them until you're in the middle of the fight and you start going, power's not enough for me. His speed's not enough for me. His cardio is not gonna keep up with me. Then from there, you can stop respecting him quite as much and start being a little bit more of a dominant force in the fight. But if you forget about respecting them early, you're gonna make mistakes, which again could lead to that round one KO. And the last thing that I wanna talk about, you've heard me talk about it so much on the channel, I wanna show you a clip right now of when I made a mistake in round one and I ended up getting caught, my head bounced a few times back and back and back, but because of my defense, I was able to come out of that and stay safe. The tip is develop your defense. If you don't develop your defense, you're gonna get caught and you're not gonna be able to recover as safely as you should because you don't have that ability to either engage head movement or get those hands up and just post that high guard. You have to develop your defense because at some point in round one, more likely than not, even for somebody like myself, who's pretty darn good at avoiding big shots in round one, at some point it's gonna happen. And if you don't develop that defense, you're not gonna be able to keep yourself safe. And those right there are my 6 tips to making sure you do not get KO'd in round one. What I like on this channel is I'm actually able to feed you guys exactly what I do, what I believe. I sat down today and I went, why have I never been KO'd in round one? I wrote out a list and I went, yeah, these are all the things I do to make sure that has not happened. So this is real information coming from an actual fighter, which you can use and keep yourself safe in that first round. And hopefully, once you get out of round one, your skill level is superior to that of your opponents, like we already mentioned, and you're not gonna make any mistakes that are gonna lead you to getting KO'd. You're gonna get the KOs because you have the higher skill level. Hopefully, again, which will happen because you work really hard, like I said at the end of the episodes, but also because you're here learning all the time. The more you learn, the more information you take in, the more you're gonna jump in skill, and that's what we wanna do when we're on this channel. That's what I wanna feed to you guys. I want the best fighters, amateur or professional, coming out of these episodes. It's just super awesome because I do get people with a number of fights messaging me saying, man, your channel's making a big difference. And I appreciate that so much. Hearing that means the world to me. If you guys enjoyed the episode, you're enjoying the channel, please give the video a like. If you haven't already, join the channel, get subscribed so you don't fall behind on important episodes like this. Train hard, guys. I'll see you back here soon for another video.